Drake Maye has been even better than some might want you to believe this season. Let's start there. This is Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I am your host, Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England. I've been covering the Pats for the past 16 years, also the co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles and a sports radio veteran. Welcome to Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, you know by now. If you don't, I'll tell you again. We are the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. On today's show, find out what two things have happened this season that we haven't seen happen in years from a Patriot. Also, we'll tell you why Pats fans might have an extra special summer's day to plan for in 2026. But first, Drake Maye. Pats are on a bye, but Crossover Thursday continues across the Locked On NFL team channels and is always presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Drake Maye, we found out on Wednesday, was officially named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week due to his work against the Giants on Monday night. It is the first time that Drake Maye has won the award, hopefully the first of many, many times that Drake Maye will win the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. There's lots of football left this season. A month is left, 4 games left on the schedule, big challenges ahead. Buffalo at Baltimore. But 3/4 of the way through this season, I am here to tell you that Drake Maye has been good. How good? Historically good. Front Office NFL posted this. Drake Maye is on pace to be the 4th quarterback to lead the NFL in quarterback win percentage, completion percentage, passing yards, and passer rating in a season. He'd be the first to do it before turning 30. Otto did this in 1953 at 32 years old. Kurt Warner did it in 2001 at 30. Tom Brady did it in 2007 at 30. Of course, Drake Maye right now in 2025, he is 23 years old. That's the history of the league. But when we look at the Patriots quarterbacks in the seasons they've had, guess what? Drake Maye's 2025 has been historically good. Kevin Cole posted this. EPA per play version of highest regular season in Pats history. This is since 2000. So the EPA per play version of the best regular season at quarterback going back to 2000. Tom Brady in 2007 was plus 0.42. Tom Brady in 2016 was plus 0.34. Tom Brady in 2011 was plus 0.32. Tom Brady in 2012 was plus 0.30 and tied for the 5th best EPA per play mark in the regular season since 2000 is Drake Maye this season at plus 0.28, which actually ties where Brady finished in 2010. So when you look at the entire NFL, Drake Maye, historically good. When you look at the EPA per play version of the highest regular season in Patriots history, Drake Maye is in the top 5. When you go back to the year 2000, he has been historically good. And here's the best news of all. Drake Maye should improve as an NFL quarterback. Just think of it on a common sense level. He's only 23 years old. That's why the statistic I just gave you, the stats of the front office NFL post, win percentage, completion percentage, passing yards, passer rating, all of those, right? To lead the NFL in all of those categories. It's never happened before for a quarterback before they turn 30. That's why it's insane that at 23 years old, Drake Maye is in the conversation. He might not finish there by the end of the year, but the very fact that he is in the discussion is pretty insane. And then you think about not just his age, but his development within the scheme. He's going to get more comfortable with Josh McDaniels' offense. We've talked about it before. I do not think Josh McDaniels is going anywhere anytime soon. All these big college football jobs have been already filled outside of Penn State, who is absolutely scrambling. So I don't think Josh McDaniels is going anywhere. You think Drake Maye is going to get worse in year 2 in his offense? I don't. When you look at the recent history, especially at the quarterback position, the true boom from those players ends up happening the second year that they are the starting quarterback. So if you look at it, you say about 34, 35 games in, Drake Maye is going to continue to get better and better and better. He hits that mark, he should continue to get better and better and better. And he has proven to be a quick learner. He learns from his mistakes. He learns what defenses are doing to him and how to adapt, how to adjust. So he should actually improve from where he is right now, which has to be scary for the NFL. As a matter of fact, Mike Vrabel this week, speaking to the media, he said, quote, about Drake Maye, he's realizing what he can be, unquote. He's realizing what he can be. He hasn't even fully realized what he can be. Drake Maye is having an epiphany during the 2025 season. And he's looking at what he's doing, and he's looking at this offense, and he's saying to himself, man, I could actually be really, really good. Like maybe borderline elite good from what I've been doing this year so far. Look, women lie, men lie, numbers don't. Maye has been metrically dominant this year. 3 quarters through the season. Evan Lazar posted this the other day on Twitter. EPA per play, Drake Maye is second in the league. Total QBR, Drake Maye is 4th. Success rate, he's 4th. Completion percentage over expected, he is 1st in the NFL. Average air yards, he's 4th. Even more from Evan Lazar. Drake Maye leads the NFL in total expected points added at plus 101.1. And if you think he's making all these easy throws, nothing could be further from the truth. The level of difficulty matters. When we talk about the types of numbers I'm talking about, the level of throws that he is making matters. Next Gen Stats after Monday Night Football posted, Drake Maye completed 6 of 8 passes beyond 10 air yards for 117 yards and a touchdown in Week 13. Drake Maye has completed a league-leading 88 such passes this season for 1,865 yards, which is over 200 more yards than any other quarterback. Taylor Kyles of CLNS mentioned this week that Drake Maye's passer rating on deep passes is 135.4, which happens to be, you guessed it, number 1 in the entire NFL. The eye test tells you, the metrics tell you, history tells you, whether you're looking at the entire NFL or just this franchise, Drake Maye through 3 quarters of this season has been historically good. Oh, Nick, the schedule. I see this now on Twitter. This is becoming the thing for both the Patriots' success and Drake Maye's success. The schedule. Well, I've got some counters to that. Drake Maye has played most of this season without a run game whatsoever. You think that impacts the quarterback negatively, or at least should? This is Drake Maye's 4th offense in 4 years. You think that would negatively impact him? His number 1 wide receiver is 32 years old, coming off ACL surgery. You think other quarterbacks that we talk about regarding MVP might have better weapons, and that's no disrespect to Stephon Diggs. It's actually respect to those other guys that we talk about. You think Matthew Stafford enjoys Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams? I do. How about the fact that you have a rookie left tackle and rookie left guard? But here is perception versus reality when we talk about the schedule conversation, especially when you look at quarterback. Ben Baldwin posted this on Wednesday. People dramatically overestimate variation in defensive quality faced for entire season. The difference between the hardest schedule, which happens to be Cam Ward, versus the easiest, which happens to be Jalen Hurts, works out to be about 0.03 EPA per play, which is minuscule. The difference, Ben Baldwin posts, between Drake Maye and Matthew Stafford's opposing schedules is 0.0008 EPA per play, even more ridiculously minuscule. And as Ben Baldwin posts, another way to think about this, the gap in EPA per play between Maye and Stafford is 0.075, about 1%. About 1% of the gap can be explained by the quality of defenses faced. The schedule, what Ben Baldwin is telling us, the schedule does not mean nearly as much as you might think when you look at individual quarterback play. There's a 1% difference between Drake Maye and Matthew Stafford when you look at schedule. And I would say the run game, the offensive line, the weapons, the new offense, the fact that he's 23 years old and Matthew Stafford is 37. He has seen everything you need to see as an NFL quarterback. I would tell you that Drake Maye is the MVP right now, as I've said before. And I would tell you that unequivocally, Drake Maye is having historically a good season to this point. There's really no argument against it. All right, two all-time great members of the franchise inch closer to football immortality, but could also be inching towards an incredibly awkward moment. That's next. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports, bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. And creating a lineup takes less than a minute. The app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. The early payout feature, it is a great bonus. When your lineup starts strong, you may get the option to cash out early. Download the Prize Picks app today. That's right, I said today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That code again is LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Thank you for making Locked On Patriots your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1, numero uno sports podcast network. We appreciate you, every single one of you, your team every day. And don't forget, if you happen to be watching on YouTube, to click that thumbs up, throw a comment in. Do you agree with me that Drake Maye has been historically good through the first 3 quarters of this season? I just gave you all the numbers, laid out my case. Don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe as we march towards 8,000 subs. We want to make this the best Locked On, with all due respect to the other Locked On programs. We want this to be the best Locked On podcast day after day, and we will get there with your help. Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, officially 2 of the 5 Hall of Fame finalists. It was announced on Wednesday. Now, both guys can get in. There's a maximum of 3 finalists that can get in year over year over year. And how does Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick get in? They would both have to receive 80% of the vote. There are 50 voters. I'm not a mathematician. I don't try to play one on this podcast, but I will tell you that 80% of 50 voters is 40 voters. Proud of myself. Bill Belichick, no doubt, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, give me a break. We can feel the way we want to feel about Bill Belichick and his final years in New England. We can feel the way we want to feel about him regarding what he has done off the field and, all the gossip stuff and what happened at North Carolina this year. I couldn't care less about any of that. You have to separate that from the career overall of what Bill Belichick accomplished in the NFL. He is the greatest coach of all time in the NFL. He has not 1 ring, but 8 rings, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator, 8 rings. I mean, we're talking about somebody who has a game plan, a defensive game plan from the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills when he shut down Jim Kelly in that offense. His game plan is in the Hall of Fame. That's how respected of a defensive mind Bill Belichick was when he was a defensive coordinator. He is second all time in most wins as a head coach. He coached not just one, but two dynasties. You could argue two separate eras. The game had changed from when Bill Belichick first took over to when he once again just happened to win 3 Super Bowls. Two dynasties. Who does that? Oh, and by the way, not only was he a head coach during the 2 epic runs in the 20-plus years, and you can talk about Tom Brady all you want. I love Tom Brady. I worship at the altar of Tom Brady. However, Bill Belichick is not the first coach to have a great quarterback help him win a lot of games. As a matter of fact, what's funny is you can look at a lot of great coaches, and there's a common denominator. Guess what? They happen to have a pretty good quarterback. Do you think Don Shula loved having Dan Marino as QB1 in Miami? I would have to say so. You think Andy Reid has enjoyed having Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback? So that's a non-starter. When you compare Bill Belichick to his colleagues as an NFL head coach, he is a first ballot guy. There's just no doubt. He should get 100% of the vote. Every single solitary one of those 50 voters should be putting a check mark next to Bill Belichick's name. And by the way, he also handled personnel for 20 plus years. So he was not only coaching the team, he was also picking the groceries, as his mentor once said. First ballot Hall of Famer. Robert Kraft, meanwhile, 100% a Hall of Fame owner. 100%. There should be no question about this. Robert Kraft has 6 rings as an owner, 6 championships. How many owners can say that? But when you get away from the success on the football field, you also have to, because Robert Kraft will be a contributor, or whatever they call it. He played a huge role, a vital role in TV negotiations, but especially the CBA negotiations. Robert Kraft played a huge role in that. We'll never forget, right? Was it Jeff Saturday when the Players Association agreed with the owners and they got the CBA deal done? Felt like a lockout was going to happen, and there was Robert Kraft and Jeff Saturday having a Yaya brotherhood moment. Instrumental in keeping the league on the tracks. And he also kept an NFL team in New England. He really saved the organization and helped turn it into the organization from 2000 to 2020. So yes, Robert Kraft should be a Hall of Famer. But what is also interesting is what happens if both make it in the same year. Again, a maximum of 3 can make it, which means both Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick could be elected to the Hall of Fame in the same year. And you think about the relationship right now. You think about how each guy would deal with it. There has been a contest between the two ever since they, quote unquote, parted ways mutually, which we all know was actually Robert Kraft firing Bill Belichick, which Robert Kraft reminded people afterwards. But the back and forth, the real life tension between these two men. We are talking about 2 Goliaths and what they did for a long time. Robert Kraft with ownership and Bill Belichick as a head coach. You know, both guys have huge egos. I said a long time ago during this back and forth between 2 people that meant so much to every single Patriots fan, I really wish they would just stop bickering. Stop with the measuring contest. Maybe they would do that if they both got into the Hall of Fame. Maybe. But it's tough because we know that Bill Belichick, he's an all-time holder of grudges. Loves it. Robert Kraft has done a decent job of that as well. So if they both get elected, how do they deal with that? How do they deal with that? Is there going to be some tension? Will they handle it professionally? Robert Kraft, during his speech, will he mention Bill Belichick? Would Bill Belichick mention Robert Kraft? Will they do it just to do it so they don't become a story? I feel like I could see Robert Kraft mentioning Bill Belichick in his speech. I would find it less likely, even though it's hard to believe Bill Belichick would not, that he would just completely omit Robert Kraft, but I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't be stunned if Bill Belichick did not mention Robert Kraft by name. So all of this is like an interesting backdrop. Don Van Natta of ESPN wrote about Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick possibly going into the Hall of Fame the same year. Here is what one veteran Hall of Fame voter told ESPN on Tuesday night. Quote, "You could have a delicious moment where Kraft and Belichick get busts together." You should just put them side by side. "I pay a lot of money to watch that. Of course, only one of the two men can get in, and I'd pay a heck of a lot of money to see that," unquote. Yeah, if one gets in and the other doesn't, ooh boy. Ooh, does the relationship get even more chilly? Look, either way, it is going to be a great moment for Patriots fans, whether one or both get in. It is a momentous occasion. And hopefully Patriots fans, even though, some of them, a lot of them, I don't know what the number is. I haven't done a survey. I don't run around and do the census of Patriots fans. But even though some, many, whatever that number is, are likely upset or frustrated with Belichick's final years in New England, I have to imagine that the vast, vast, vast majority of this fan base will be excited the day he has his Hall of Fame speech and officially goes in, and the same should be said for Robert Kraft. Because some fans have given Robert Kraft a bunch of crap over the past couple of years, especially. Now, as far as bragging rights or scoreboard, Belichick will have it forever. Because if Bill Belichick doesn't go in this year, he's going in next year. And Robert Kraft already has not been elected a number of times. So that scoreboard doesn't really matter to me. But get ready. August of 2026, both guys could get in. I'd be shocked if at least one of them doesn't get in. A vital Patriot might have been injured on Monday night. Find out who we're talking about and more as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, I'm talking about your team every day. So you go back to the Giants game on Monday night. I watched the game twice. As all of you know, we broke down the all 22 takeaways on yesterday's podcast. I still haven't gotten through all of my thoughts. I still have some leftover thoughts. Let's start with Robert Spillane. Interestingly enough, when the snap counts came out, when the snap rate came out from Monday night's game from Mike Reese, I saw that Robert Spillane played 68% of the snaps, which is well below what he usually gives this team. That's something to keep in mind, something to keep an eye on. Is there some kind of injury situation that led to Robert Spillane only playing about 68% of the snaps? Was this a management situation heading into the bye week? Tough to believe because, again, Robert Spillane throughout this entire year, he's been out there a bunch. Was it the scoreboard? Maybe Mike Vrabel felt we're up big. We're up, multiple scores here. We can play some of these guys because they've played now 13 straight games. We could play some of them less. Tough to believe because a lot of the other guys stayed out there, right? So, and the Patriots have been up multiple scores in other games and have continued to play guys. So I don't know how much I would buy into that. So we have to keep an eye on it because the bye week could be perfect timing for Robert Spillane and this Patriots defense. They need Spillane at linebacker, especially with the run defense over the past month declining, especially because Milton Williams is still not going to be back for a few weeks, especially because you did not have Kyrie's Tonga against the Giants on Monday night. So let's all keep an eye on Robert Spillane. The team is off this week, a much-deserved break. When they get back, will Robert Spillane be out there practicing? Let's pay attention to it. This turnaround for the Patriots, I saw something coming out of the Giants game that made my head spin that I finally get to talk about here. This turnaround, I'm not sure people are truly appreciating, at least some people are truly appreciating what we have witnessed in 2025 with the Patriots. This turnaround is straight up bananas. Michael Hurley from NBC Sports Boston, he posted this week, the Patriots, you go back to week 11 of 2022. Go back to week 11 of 2022, start there, and go all the way to the end of 2024's season. You want to know what the Patriots' record was from week 11 of 2022 through the end of the Drake Maye era? The record was 11-31. Of course, the Patriots already have 11 wins after 13 weeks of the season. That's crazy. That's bananas. It took 42 games from week 11 of 2022 through, the end of 2024 to get to 11 wins. It took Mike Vrabel's Patriots 13 games to get to 11 wins. That's how crazy this turnaround has been. Here's some fun with numbers. So Stephon Diggs on Monday night ended up surpassing 700 receiving yards. He now has 705 receiving yards. Mark Daniels of Mass Live pointed out that the last Patriot that had a 700-yard season at wide receiver was, guess who? You know who? Jacoby Myers in 2022. So the last time they had a receiver surpass 700 yards was in the 2022 season. Diggs has been awesome. He's been awesome on the field, considering the circumstances, the injury, the surgery, the age, the fact that he's been out there. He's had a ton of catches. It's been a little up and down. It hasn't been consistently 6 catches a week, but he is still just his production, the level of his production this year, given what he had to go through and just kind of jumping into the deep end. Yeah, he knew this offense from his time with Brian Daboll. He had a pretty good idea, and he knew Todd Downing from their days in Minnesota. But man, oh man, talk about exceeding expectations. It's really cool that Stephon Diggs is already past 700 receiving yards with 4 games to play. Speaks volumes of him. And off the field, he's been excellent. Taylor Kyles of CLNS, he noted, did you know that we've witnessed rookie history for the Patriots this year? Andy Borregales now has 105 points on the season after Monday night. It's a rookie record. He breaks the record of Steven Gostkowski from 2006. Gostkowski had 103 points. And of course, as I said with Stephon Diggs and earlier in the show, still 4 games left. So Andy Borregales, the rookie kicker, he is going to smash the prior record for points from a rookie, the Patriots. He's at 105. Gostkowski was at 103. He's going to shatter that. Now, hopefully, he doesn't shatter it by too much, because hopefully when the Patriots get in the red zone after this bye week, they actually score more touchdowns. And I will admit this, never afraid to admit when I'm wrong. The whole Parker Romo versus Andy Borregales stuff, I was frustrated. The Patriots preached competition as camp was going on. And then, Parker Romo, from what we saw, he outkicked Andy Borregales. He was the more accurate kicker through camp. And the Patriots decided to stick with Andy Borregales. And, of course, that left you wondering, is the only reason they kept Andy Borregales is because they used a draft pick on a kicker. And so I was a little frustrated at that decision, and I was dead wrong. Parker Romo, we know what's going on with him. Meanwhile, Andy Borregales has been terrific. Yes, he missed a 45-yard kick on Monday night, but he has been absolutely freaking nails since the early struggles the first week or two. So Jeremy Springer, Mike Vrabel, you made the right call. All right, that wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen and for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at Nick C Radio. Don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button. Give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe as well. The comments, the likes, all those help with the algorithm. Subscribing helps us as well. And for your second listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast with Tyler the Madman Rowland and Tony Wiggins. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.